Hi and welcome. In this video I will be talking about how you can train your brain to be more optimistic. Last week I was talking about the difference between optimism and pessimism, and this week I'm gonna go into practical suggestions how you can actually make the transition between one mindset to the other. When it comes to the part that the brain plays in this mindset, there are some interesting studies that have shown that people that have these kinds of positive emotions were using more of their left side of the brain, while people that were showing more negative emotions such as pessimism were having more activity in the right side of the brain. And even if sometimes it's not really fair and accurate to make this clear distinction between one side of the brain and the other, for the sake of this video, let's keep it in that way. And what one particular study, which I would like to mention, showed was that people that were reporting negative emotions and were showing more activity in the right side of the brain. They went through 2 months of mindfulness training, and after those 2 months they were showing more activity in the left side of the brain and also reported different, more positive emotions. So that tells us that it is possible to actually shape the activity in your brain and therefore also see the results in the different kind of mindset that you have. For this video, I'm bringing 5 things that you can do to actually help your brain to shape in this way, or to train your brain to become more optimistic. So first thing is to practice positive reframing. So what does this mean? Usually when we have a difficult situation in front of us, it's very likely that we will be looking solely to the things that are difficult about it. Everything that is painful and uncomfortable about the situation, those are the things that we will be focusing our attention on, and those are the things obviously that will be creating negative emotions. So when we practice positive reframing, what we are trying to do is to try to look into the situation with a different lens, so that we can actually find if there are anything positive about the situation. And usually there always is something positive about the situation if you look into it with an open mind and a creative mind, and most importantly with humor. Of course, some situations it's difficult to have humor about, but still it is interesting to practice trying to have this approach to difficult situations, so that when things feel really heavy and it's causing you a lot of negative emotions, when you try to do this positive reframing and you find something that you can put on the other side of the scale, it balances things out. And this exercise, this is actually improving your skill to see things from a different perspective, to see things from a perspective of creativity, humor, a positive perspective. So that is like telling your brain, training your brain to also consider what can be put on the other side of the scale, and not just the things that are obviously painful and obviously creating negative emotions. The second thing that you can do is to clear your environment. And by this I mean not just your physical environment. It can have a very strong impact on your brain. So let's say that you live in a house that it's really cluttered, and you have a lot of things around you that are like reminding you of things that are uncomfortable. Let's say you have, your pile of all the bills that you need to pay right in front of you, or you have this massive pile of clutter that you have thought of taking care of but you still haven't, or just you have a lot of stuff and you have a lot of things that are telling your brain that, oh, here I am and I need to be taken care of. That's what usually clutter does to your brain, is to kind of like send the signal there's a lot to take care of. So keeping your environment, I wouldn't say minimalistic, which would be great for the brain, but still we don't need to go that route today, but at least an environment that inspires positive emotions, that inspires you calm, tranquility, creativity, inspiration, that you surround yourself with things that inspire you something good. But also considering the environment, it's also important to consider the people that we surround ourselves with, because some people are very pessimistic, and this energy can be quite contagious. So if it is possible to keep some filter or some space between these people, that would be great. If not, it's good at least to be aware that this person has this energy and it will in some way be contagious if you're not, protecting yourself from that kind of perspective, and not just taking it in as yours. So you kind of create that filter, you're aware, and that is already something good to protect you from this energy. The third thing that you can do is to write a journal, and this is a very widespread advice, but it really does work to put your thoughts into the paper, transfer them from your mind to the paper, so you can actually have a view of how you are rationalizing around things, what perspective are you having around things. So then you can also see if you are having an optimistic or pessimistic perspective, and you can also do the exercises trying to have a positive reframing around things. So just the fact that you're taking your thoughts from your mind to the paper is very beneficial. The fourth thing, which is very important in this list, is to recognize the limits of your control. And this can be an extremely hard thing to do, because we tend to love to feel that we have control, and we grab onto that sense of having control very, very much. So it almost feels unnatural to accept that there are some things that we actually don't have control, and this can also create feelings of anxiety, to have this recognition that some things really are out of your control. But on the other hand, it can also give you a liberating feeling, and that's the feeling that we are going after, which is the one that says, you know what, I actually cannot control this, so there is no point in me struggling to try to control it, because there's no way I can control it, and I put my trust that things will turn out well in this regard, which I cannot do anything about, but I trust that they will turn out in the best way for me. And of course, here you can frame it in whatever way you like to frame things, maybe to trust in the universe, or you trust in some god or goddess. It's up to you, but to have this sense of trust within you, maybe you trust life. And the last point, and equally important, is to acknowledge the negative. So sometimes there is this idea that people that are optimistic, they just totally disregard the problems and they just believe everything will be fine, so they don't do anything about it, and they're just lazy. Some people have this view on optimism, but in fact to cultivate an optimistic mindset, a healthy optimistic mindset, it is essential that we also acknowledge what is negative, because even the fact that you are watching this video and trying to have a more positive mindset, that shows that you have a proactive attitude towards difficult situations. So it is fundamental that the negative is acknowledged, and then in a positive mindset you would say, yes, this is really tough, this is not looking good, but step by step I will manage to overcome this obstacle, this situation. I will manage to change into a more positive life circumstance. And that is it for today's video. I hope you liked it. If you did, you're very welcome to like and subscribe. Next week I will be talking about specifically positive reframing. I talked about, this was the point number 1 of this video, but I will be going more specifically into positive reframing because I believe this is such an important practice when we are going through life. So I would like to talk a little bit more about that. So if that interests you, I hope to see you next week. Thank you for watching.